NBC News on KCAA Loma Linda is sponsored by Teamsters Local 1932, protecting the future of working families. Teamsters1932.org.
NBC News Radio. I'm Chris Coraggio. Hurricane Erin is a large storm as it heads north in the Atlantic. The hurricane is expected to impact millions, but not expected to hit the U.S. mainland. The outer bands of the storm are expected to bring poor weather conditions to the North Carolina coast by this evening, where a state of emergency has been declared. Swimming at most East Coast beaches is being advised against due to life-threatening surf and rip currents. Erin has maximum sustained winds of 110 miles per hour and is currently about 365 miles southeast of North Carolina. The State House in Texas is planning to vote on a Republican redistricting plan soon. It reconvened today after protests from Democrats that saw them leave the state to break quorum. The plan could be voted on today and by the state Senate as early as tomorrow. The new congressional map would create 5 more Republican-leaning districts. House Democrats were placed under around-the-clock supervision by House Speaker Dustin Burrows to ensure they would return to the state capitol today. I'm Chris Coraggio, NBC News Radio.
Shop Dell Technologies Black Friday event for their lowest prices of the year. The future is on sale today with limited time deals on select PCs like the XPS 16 that accelerate AI with Intel Core Ultra processors. Black Friday is their biggest sale of the year and the best time to upgrade, but it's only here for a limited time. Shop now at Dell.com/deals. That's Dell.com/deals.
Tahibo Tea Club's original Pure Pau d'Arco Super Tea helps build red corpuscles in the blood which carry oxygen to our organs and cells. Our organs and cells need oxygen to regenerate themselves. The immune system needs oxygen to develop, and cancer dies in oxygen. So the tea is great for healthy people because it helps build the immune system, and it can truly be miraculous for someone fighting a potentially life-threatening disease due to an infection, diabetes, or cancer. The tea is also organic and naturally caffeine-free. A 1-pound package of tea is $49.95, which includes shipping. To order, please visit TahiboTeaClub.com. Tahibo is spelled T like Tom, A-H-E-E-B like boy, O, then continue with the word tea and then the word club. The complete website is TahiboTeaClub.com, or call us at 818-610-8088, Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. California time. That's 818-610-8088, TahiboTeaClub.com.
KCAA, where life's much better. So download the app in your smart device today. Listen everywhere and anywhere, whether you're in Southern California, Texas, or sailing on the Gulf of Mexico. Life's a breeze with KCAA. Download the app in your smart device today.
I'll be sailing out of yesterday in the Gulf of Mexico.
KCAA. For over 75 years, the Marine Toys for Tots program has provided toys and emotional support to economically disadvantaged children, primarily during the holidays. But needs are not just seasonal, and now, neither is Toys for Tots. They've expanded their outreach to support families in need all year long with their new programs, including the Foster Care Initiative, the Native American Program, and the Youth Ambassador Program. To learn how you can help, visit toysfortots.org.
One of the best ways to build a healthier local economy is by shopping locally. Teamster Advantage is a shop local program started by Teamster Local 1932 that has brought together hundreds of locally owned businesses to provide discounts for residents who make shopping locally their priority. Everything from restaurants like Corky's to fun times at SB Raceway and much, much more. If you're not currently a Teamster and you want access to these local business discounts, contact Jennifer at 909-889-8377, extension 224. Give her a call. That number again is 909-889-8377, extension 224.
Welcome to the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan, a brand new show about labor and worker issues. The host of the show is Randy Corrigan, Secretary Treasurer and Principal Office and leader of Teamsters 1932, one of the largest public sector labor unions on the West Coast, representing workers in government and non-sworn law enforcement personnel. Randy Corrigan is a 30-year Teamster who first became involved in the labor movement by volunteering his time as an organizer with the Teamsters Union at the age of 21. Since then, he's helped thousands organize, mobilize, and achieve bargaining rights. He accomplished this by spending countless hours with brave men and women all over Southern California, in their living rooms, on the picket line, to bring workers towards victory. This is the Worker Power Hour. And now here's the host of the show, Randy Corrigan.
We're back. This is the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan on the Teamsters 1932 Broadcast Network. Boy, do we have a show today. We have a full house. Longtime organizer here, first-time radio host. And we have some guests sitting here with me. We'll get to you all in a few minutes. But all I got to say is we gotta somehow figure out how to run through today, Mark. This is a full house. And I don't think we've had... Well, I don't know. Maybe we get it like this, but
I have my tennis shoes
someone's
on.
going to get in trouble for having so much stacked.
I have my Hokas on. Let's go.
Whose fault is it? Anyway, we got a lot of fun stuff, good guests, and we are looking forward to having a great running show. Don't forget, radio show at teamsters1932.org. If you want to email us, give us some information, talk about how great we are or how terrible we are. If we send us a terrible one, we're just going to delete it. Let me just be honest with you, right?
Dump button.
No, I'm sorry. We actually take criticism well. We make adjustments to what's going on. And don't forget this KCAA 1050 AM, 106.5 FM. What, Mark?
Senator, I do not recall.
Yeah, that's exactly how you're supposed to do it. We're going to roll right into live shout-outs. Listening live from all over Southern California and, quite frankly, all over the world. Last week we had some people from Scotland and France and Australia and stuff like that. And, hey, that's great. If you want a live shout-out from another part of the world, feel free to let us know. But you got to be listening live because now we have some fun stuff for those of you that are listening live. Jeremy Lopez from ARMC Security listening live. Jessica Villalobos from ARMC Patient Accounts listening live. Diane Zamudio from SCS West Valley Detention Center. Ralph Augustin from SCS CDC, as well as Sonia Vega. She is a pH nutritionist. And then we have Carrie Overholt, the Apple Valley SO station. Sherry Pullman Sherry Pullman, Patricia Flores, and Camacha Butler from Rialto Tat. And if I butcher a name, please let me know. Give me the appropriate pronunciation, and I will try to correct it if I can. City of Coachella Teamsters, Indio Water Authority Teamsters, and Pomona Teamsters all listening in live. I'm going to assume not all of them are listening at the same time, but we're giving them a live shout out because many of them are. Noni Thompson from ARMC, Lisa Vasquez from ARMC Rehab, Damani Travis from Register of Voters, Holly Edison from retiree from ARMC, Nadal Rafidi, ARMC, Kathy Bernal from the City of Needles, Jenny Hernandez from Public Health, and a happy 40th birthday to our very own Abraham Gallegos. 40? Man, I thought he was 50. What do you mean he's 40? He's getting old, right? Shout out. I'm just kidding. Everybody looking at me like I shouldn't have said
50's not old. It's really not old.
Yeah, it is. It's real old. For you, it is. Shout out to the Housing Authority members who just recently voted on their tentative agreement. Olivia Gabara from ARMC, Amanda Montoya, Mario Thompson, Sonia Jackson, Krista Kunter, and Patricia Diaz. Kawana McDonald from ARMC Patient Registration. And then from the City of Rialto, we have Terry Diaz, Freddie Nunez, Amy Crow, Kim Dame. From the City of Fontana, it was great to see a bunch of our Fontana folks at the Fontana Chamber last week that we were engaged with and I spoke at. It was great turnout from our Fontana members, and thank you for all the great work. The grounds looked phenomenal there at the park, at the community center, as well as at the library and everything that's on those grounds. Vanessa Cortez, Andrea Palacios, Lauren Papascu, Joanne Pina, Jeanette Hernandez, Danielle Palafox, and then from the Chino Valley Fire District, Sandy Woodward, Jason Rivera, Marcel De Guerra. Those are our live shout-outs. If you want a live shout-out, please let us know. We'll shout out to you. And one of the things I want you to remember is that if you're listening on live and you are the fifth caller from, and I got Ryan Franking from out in the middle of the desert. He is listening in live. And for those of you that want to call in live and you want to get the sweater, someone want to hand me the sweater real quick? Because people are probably already calling as soon as I say it. 909-889-8377. Here's the sweater. 909-889-8377. Fifth caller wins. We'll get to announce who the winner is here in just a couple minutes. Hopefully I see it pop up on my screen. We're going to roll right into the next part of the show, which is member highlights. This week, what we're highlighting is the San Bernardino County Behavioral Health and the jobs in which they do. The first one is a social worker. Our San Bernardino County Behavioral Health social workers are dedicated to helping residents overcome life's toughest challenges, from connecting families with critical services to counseling individuals through crisis. They provide compassion, advocacy, and hope every single day. Thank you for the work you do. We really appreciate it. This is difficult, challenging work. It's a difficult, challenging profession, and we appreciate many of you put your heart and soul into that space. And it's it may feel like it goes unnoticed from time to time, but that's why we highlight these things, is we want you to know that we're not gonna let it go unnoticed. Peer and family advocate is also another classification we represent. Our peer and family advocates in San Bernardino County Behavioral Health bring lived experience and compassion to the table. They connect resources to individuals and families facing mental health challenges, offering understanding, guidance, and support. We also, most people don't realize that we have alcohol and drug counselors as well. So Teamsters do all these different jobs. Listen to how critical these jobs are for people, especially in certain times of their life, making sure that they're able to find the right resources and get into the right space. Our alcohol and drug counselors in San Bernardino County Behavioral Health are on the front lines of recovery every single day. They guide individuals through the toughest battles of addiction, offering treatment, hope, and the tools to rebuild their lives. Their dedication shows the true impact of Teamster Power, transforming not only workplaces, but entire communities. This is a profession and a job that, myself being in this space for more than 30 years, I cannot count how many people over the years I've helped them go through a very challenging time of their life, get to a better space and a better place, and be very successful in life as a result of whatever their addiction or their challenges were, and they left it completely behind them. Never, ever forgetting that journey. Those of us that know who those individuals are and have watched them achieve success, we know how challenging that could be. And there's always a special bond between those of us that kind of walked people through that or worked with them, in addition to knowing others that are doing that. So we really appreciate our members that do the work when it comes to the classification of alcohol and drug counselor. I'm not that, but as a union rep, you were helping people sometimes go down very challenging roads, and we never forget that, especially when people are able to find a better space. Don't forget Teamster Tuesdays. If you'd like to be highlighted on our Teamster Tuesday, make sure you email us at radioshow@teamsters1932.org. Every Tuesday, we highlight a member on our social media to show the public the important work our members do. You can follow us at 1932 Teamsters. This last Tuesday, we highlighted our amazing, hardworking team at the San Bernardino County Behavioral Health Department, which were the three classifications I just laid out and I identified. Again, we appreciate the work that you all do. Keep it up. Now I want to go into what's going on around the local, all the great things that we do. I'm starting to get a list that's becoming so large and long that it's kind of hard to, I guess, read all of it. Where's all that noise coming from? Interesting. Is somebody on EV Mux? Anyway, yeah, somebody's already chimed in. Yeah, you got to hit mute. Anyway, what's going on around local? Like, the list gets long. Years ago, we had a married member to another representing law enforcement. It was interesting because we get this debate all the time between bargaining units in the county, where there's like a fun competitive debate between what is going to happen with one group versus another. And one of the things that happened when the retiree medical portion in our bargaining unit kicked in, you had some people that criticized and some people that didn't. But now we have this individual who has a husband in another bargaining unit, which was with the Sheriff's Association, and that member retired at 54 and now gets to go back and forth and have a really good dialogue with their parents, with their husband. And clearly, we see it as she's winning the argument on the benefit side. So love to report this kind of stuff, to have a little bit of fun with the benefits that are negotiated over time and how much these workers fight for stuff in this space. A supervisor was found retaliating against a member by sharing confidential information, and the issue was immediately addressed and stopped by the local union. Last week, we had several 1932 staff members sworn in at the Inland Empire Labor Council as well. And we were able to get a member who was on FMLA removed from an attendance improvement program. In other words, the FMLA covered the issues in which that they were facing and prevented them from receiving discipline and or counseling going forward, and made sure that the appropriate space resource was applied. Got an investigation started on a director who had a history of harassing subordinates. Hopefully what happens is it brings that to a close and we don't have that issue anymore. And we also had successfully assisted a member in to end a meeting disguised as an update to lead to a change of duties. We get this a lot. You get a supervisor's kind of got something up their sleeve, and then they sit down, get through the process, and ultimately, once you expose everything, end up fixing the problem that someone else was going to create. And in this case, a supervisor was trying to change the duties without bargaining what those duties needed to be changed and what duties needed to be changed specifically. Also in Ontario, we had a 5 to 15% increase in a specific classification because of something that was negotiated in the previous contract, something that set out in time, and then when that clicked, they sat down and worked through it and made it happen. And then we also had successfully completed the second year of a pilot 980 schedule for our members at SBCSS. So that's just a handful of the things that are going on around the local. The next thing I want to report on, brought to you by the San Diego Labor Council, this new partnership that we have with them. They're giving us a fun fact every week. We appreciate them coming on our show like they did a few weeks ago. And on June 30th, 1947, yes, Robert, that was well before I was born, by the way. However, I do know some people that were born in 1947. Robert, do you know anybody born in 1947?
George Washington.
No, come on. Come on. Man, Robert, you're rough. Anyway, 1947, the Taft-Hartley Act passed. After FDR signed the National Labor Relations Act in 1935, working people seized our newfound legal standing and organized. But, big CEOs in corporate America came together and spent millions to lobby for the Taft-Hartley Act, which created right-to-work laws and benefited union busters. It also allowed employers to hold mandatory anti-union meetings. The bill was vetoed by President Truman at the time, but the Senate override that veto, and the bill became law in 1947. And I want to remind everybody right now, those of us in labor have not seen an attack on labor like 1947. It has been a very long time since we've seen the attack on bargaining rights and collective bargaining agreements that we have seen in this last 6 to 8 months. It has been absolutely unprecedented. You'd have to go all the way back to 1947 to find anything that compares. And when you attack working people and you attack people's First Amendment right, the freedom of speech and the freedom to assemble, and you take the swipe of your pen and you erase their rights, be careful, because that means any other right can be wiped away. And when you start attacking the First Amendment right, which is collective bargaining, we've got an issue. And I'll tell you right now, there's a big issue out here right now with labor and the way labor is being attacked. So we appreciate the San Diego Labor Council sharing the fun fact of today, and it's a reminder that we have to come together and we have to hold our elected officials accountable. And whether you voted for whomever you voted for, you need to explain to them you don't agree with what's going on, or maybe you do. Maybe you agree with rights being stripped from people. I know we don't. I know that that's not something that we should stand for in this country, and we're pushing back every single day. The next thing I want to move into is we have the American Heart Association here, and we appreciate that we have Savannah Malott. I was going to say it. I was getting there. She jumped right in. Last year, the American Heart Association celebrated 100 years of progress. Over the next few months, we'll have, we had you on to discuss healthy tips for you and your family, right? We're going to have different people from the Heart Association on. We'll do like these 5-minute clips, right?
Correct.
Mark, you want to explain that real quick, Mark?
So we're going to start doing like Healthy Heart Wednesdays, Healthy Diet Wednesdays. That didn't really rhyme, but hey, we're going to do it on Wednesday. How's that? So we just thought that would be helpful to the membership to bring this information to them.
Yeah, and we'd like to welcome Savannah Malott. She's the executive director of the Orange County Inland Empire and Coachella Valley Division of the American Heart Association. You are a native of the IE, correct?
Yes and no. I lived in the IE for 6 years.
Oh, okay. Well,
originally from Chicago.
Well, all right. What part of Chicago?
Naperville.
Oh, okay. I know where that's at.
Yeah, most people do.
Yeah. So tell us about what's going on with the American Heart Association and this relationship and this partnership that we have. I know we've crammed you in with a pretty busy schedule, but we'd like to give you a few minutes, and we're looking forward to, kind of having the American Heart Association on the show and talking about how people can be healthier or some habits they could pick up.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't eat McDonald's for lunch.
Well, thank you, first of all, for letting us come out, and we're excited to continue, to just share ways that you and your family can live a healthier life. As you mentioned, American Heart celebrated 100 years, which is really, really great, but we have a lot more work to do in the community. And so some of our both national and local objectives are things like CPR, nutrition security, hypertension. The American Heart Association is everywhere, but specifically here in our local community, over 100 CPR infant kits have been given to local hospitals. Over 30,000 Inland Empire residents have learned CPR just through the efforts we're doing right here in the Inland Empire. And nationally, our goal is that one person in every household knows hands-only CPR by 2028. So we have a really big goal ahead of us, and it's going to start right here in our backyard in the Inland Empire.
Robert, do you know CPR? No, but I'm willing to learn. You better. There's these things out here that these defibrillators or something like that, in the hallway. We got a couple of them in the building. We do have a few people on staff that hover around them and want to use them. And I'm like, no, if someone uses them, that means they're in bad shape.
Yes, yeah. And that is all a part of our initiative, too, when we talk about hands-only CPR, is also getting people more comfortable with using those AEDs and knowing where they are, how to respond in case of an emergency. And we're even starting...
They're not allowed to use them on them fooling around in the office.
Right, yeah. We don't want that. But I will say it can be scary in the moment, right, when something's happening. And so our job is to just help increase awareness and have people be more comfortable. When somebody responds with CPR or an AED when someone's in cardiac arrest, they're 2 to 3 times more likely to live. So it's really important that we prepare our community to know how to respond in those situations.
And you guys come out and do like little trainings for all that stuff, correct?
We like to do what we call CPR experiences. And so we'll go into a company or a school, and yes, we can teach hands-only CPR, but we also talk about other things. Like we said, right, living a healthier life. So we'll talk with kids about nutrition and sleep and mental health and tobacco use. So we're really looking at it holistically, right, at our whole health, because everything affects heart health.
So what drew you personally into connecting with this space?
Yeah, I would say I've worked in the nonprofit sector for some time, and so when I was looking to transition to a new role, I personally have a lot of family members affected by cardiovascular disease, and so it just seemed like a perfect fit both professionally and personally.
Oh, that's great. Obviously, there's it's a big organization. What's the local impact that it makes on the region?
Yeah, so locally, we kind of have 3 areas we're focusing on. They're the same ones that we're focused on nationally, but partnering with food banks or nutrition centers to adopt healthy food policies. We're increasing access to things like refrigeration, so our local community centers can, not just give out canned items, but fresh produce and other items that people need to really have a healthier lifestyle. We're focused on the CPR piece. We're working in 13 schools right now with our hands-only CPR curriculum. So making sure that all the way from kids regards to the elderly, people know how to respond in cardiac arrest situations. And then we're also focusing on strengthening our partnerships with the hospital systems, the clinical systems, making sure that both patients and caregivers are being advocated for, and then also looking at hypertension, which is our blood pressure. So we have some partnerships in the community where people can check out a blood pressure cuff and monitor it from home, and we're able to identify then some earlier signs of cardiovascular disease.
Man, we could give her an entire section. I see the winner. I'll announce it in a minute. Yeah, we could. You can give you a half hour and you can run right through it. Sorry for having such a short window for you. We just wanted to try to get you in. Is there anything you want to close on? And thanks for coming on.
Yeah, no, I think just the last thing I'll share is that coming up here, we're going to have our Inland Empire Heart and Stroke Walk in the spring. We're hoping to announce our date and location.
Well, if I walk, I'm going to have a stroke.
I would hope not. And so we're looking forward. And
Everybody looked at me like I was crazy right now.
We're really looking forward to that, and we're hoping maybe on a future segment we can announce that time and location to our folks here in the IE.
Very good. No, absolutely. We're looking to do that. Mark, anything last you want to point out before we move on to James?
We need
Bites
to put together a Teamster walking team for that event.
Yes.
Okay, there we go. That's a good idea. I'm out because I don't want to have
Okay.
Anyway.
Robert's he's gonna be the captain.
All right. The next part of our show, again, thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it. Appreciate the relationship and looking forward to having you on a regular basis in the future. We're doing Health and Wellness Wednesdays. What's the phrase that is that it? Health and Wellness Wednesdays. And trying to make sure that we help people live a healthier lifestyle. That takes us with a great transition into James Bites.
I was thinking the same thing.
Which is called gluttony, right?
Here's the guy who likes to eat. Next.
Mr. Healthy is here.
Mr.
Oh,
Healthy.
man.
Yeah, but you could give a report on the healthy food that you've been eating out there. And by the way, I saw the pictures from the Teamster Advantage night out last Thursday, and looks like y'all had a phenomenal time. Sorry I couldn't make it, but
Yeah, that was great. We all had a really good time. The best part about it is that we were not talking shop. We were just having conversations, nothing about work. We were all just relaxing and having a good time. So thank you to the local and to you for dinner. That was awesome. But, I think everyone had a good time. And I asked people if they could, what they thought of the place, and I asked them to send it to Mark. I don't know if you want to post it or read some of them out or whatever the case is.
We can post them.
Yep. But we got some feedback from people on what they thought of the place, and they all loved it. They said food was great. Yeah, atmosphere was awesome, so they enjoyed it.
So what gluttony did you participate in from the last show that you can report on today? Especially in front of the American Heart Association.
American Heart Association. No, I
you feel about as guilty as you can, right? We set this up perfect.
I know. That's. I feel like is this an intervention?
Don't talk about the donuts, the ice cream.
They made me hit 3 donut shops in one day. No, I did that myself.
Right?
No, I did that myself. I did the 4 ice cream shops in one day too. So cover your ears, guys.
Yes.
Anyway, so
He'll be taking classes.
Yeah, I'll be taking. Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to.
You need to start walking.
I'll do that walk. I'll definitely do that walk. But I probably need some of those pedals to carry.
You're like, I'm going to walk from one ice cream shop to the next.
That's it. Hey, what happened to James? Oh, he stopped at the donut shop.
I stopped at the donut shop. That's exactly what I would do, too. Just pick the route. Let's see what we got.
All right, get into the review. We got a short window today.
Yeah, we do. All right, so I found a little spot in Yucaipa that actually had 3 shops right next to each other that were all Teamster Advantage, and I hit every single one of them that day. One of them was Soaring Swine Acres. It's a little tea shop. They make their own teas there. They actually have jams.
Yep.
They have a Teamster Advantage jam.
Yep.
So
we have our own jam, and it's really good jam.
It is.
Yeah.
And so I stopped down by there. I bought a couple things. I bought some tea. Now the cool part about that I found out is that once a month they do a women's kind of conference review type deal, where they just have women come in, they have refreshments, they do tea, and they have speakers that come in and just motivate and inspire women in the community.
Right.
So everyone is welcome. Women are welcome for that. They also have tea that men and women are welcome to, and just conversations. And that's what the owner was telling me and informing me about. So
we had her on the show. It was about a year and a half ago.
Yeah, Mary came on about a year ago.
Mary came on about a year ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So she brought me up to speed on what was going on. So I'm going to see if I could pass that information on to the women's conference people.
Oh, it's a good idea.
That way they could be wanting to go there. So I bought a couple teas there.
Yeah, we got to have them do a meeting there.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be real good. So I checked them out. Good teas, good jams, and I bought Pickles. They also make their own pickles. There.
Oh, that's right. She did say that. Yeah.
So I bought some of that.
Which pickle you like, the dill or the sweet?
Dill.
Dill.
Well, depending on what.
Am I the only guy that likes sweet pickles?
I'm not opposed to sweet pickles, but
I really like the spicy sweet pickles.
I don't think I've had that.
Yeah, they actually Dave's has got a sweet pickle chip that's spicy. It's
You know
got
what?
a
I
kick
think I
to
have
it.
had that.
It's got a kick.
Famous Dave's, right?
Yeah, Famous
yeah,
Dave's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I have had that. So after that, I walked right next door to Monstros Sub. It's a horror-themed sub sandwich
Yeah,
place.
they're great.
Yeah, I think it was called the Wolfman. It was a spicy pastrami sandwich. Good prices. You get 10% off. They're also, it's like I said, right next door to them. I like the horror theme.
Yeah.
And they also have certain theme sandwiches of the month. Like I think this month is Poultrygeist.
So you had the pastrami, right?
Poultrygeist.
Yeah.
You had the pastrami.
Pastrami sandwich.
Rate the pastrami, compare it.
Really good pastrami. My favorite is the hat pastrami, but this comes in a very, very close second. And the only reason it doesn't come in first is just probably the nostalgia of it. But I mean, the flavor was all there. The mustard was great. Pickles were awesome. And bread was really, really good. Nice toasted. So it was really, really delicious to try. And as a matter of fact, I've been thinking about the dang sandwich all day.
So
I might have to go there for another
I'm
sandwich.
going to go out on a limb and say that you went to the sweet shop right next door.
Yes, I did. It is Roundabout Sweets and Treats. And I found out, I mean, they're so popular, they sold out, but they actually do have a candy apple flight. You get 4 candy apples. I didn't get a chance to try them. I did buy a candy apple. I got a Heath Bar candy apple, but I'm curious to see about this
See,
flight.
that's healthy. That's
there's fruit.
An apple a day keeps the doctor away.
Yeah.
Just not a candied apple.
Not a candied. Well,
covered chocolate, calorie-infested apple.
I mean,
The look on Savannah's face is priceless right now.
But I mean, it's primarily fruit, right? Right?
She'd have a heart attack if she heard your explanation of the donut run you went on.
Oh, the donut run was awesome.
In 3 different cities.
Yeah, 3 different cities. It was worth it. I'm gonna do that again. Anyone want to do a donut crawl with me? I'm down.
Donut crawl.
No.
Oh my God, I can't imagine trying that. So did you get anything else besides the candied apple?
A couple clusters, like peanut almond clusters and things like that. They're like I said, I think they opened up at 2 from the last time I checked, and they were already sold out of a lot of stuff. And I got there at 3.
Yeah.
So they're very
they're
good.
very busy.
Yeah. So if you ever get the chance
we get 10% there too, right? Teams
10% at every single one of those spots, and with a sandwich, you get a bag of chips, and I think you drink it separately. But the sandwiches are pretty good. They have 6-inch foot long. And the last place I checked was in Redlands, Namaste. It's Indian cuisine. I'm not very diverse or knowledgeable in Indian cuisine, so when I walked in there, I asked them, and they were very helpful. They explained to me about the cuisine, and I loved it. I think I got a 3-item combo. It was like only $14 or something like that. It also comes with rice and naan bread. So I had the chicken tikka. It was really good. A lamb and a vegetable curry, which was really, really good. So I recommend them if you are interested in just trying out Indian cuisine. It was amazing. I really want to try it. You should try it.
So real quick, not to interrupt, but our 5th caller was Cesar Guerra from Coachella Valley Water District. That came in a little bit ago, about 12 minutes ago. So we have a winner of the sweater.
Awesome.
Anyway, sorry.
I tried to call him, but I wasn't here.
Well, you can't. I mean, come on. I'm just don't steal our sweater on your way out.
I don't think that one would fit, but maybe.
All right, the last thing I want you to cover, if you can, James, when James bites back, is what did you get at Johnny Russo's last week?
Lasagna.
What? But you got the lasagna last time.
Well, my wife had the ziti, so we shared. So it was a little bit of everything. But a lot of people were sharing food. Like, hey, you want to try this? You want to try
that's
that?
good. That's good.
So
I saw the picture of everybody there.
The calzone.
I was definitely very jealous.
Somebody ordered a calzone, and that one like, oh, that's what I got to get next time.
You didn't taste it?
I didn't taste it. It was way off on the other end of the table.
Well, you should have got up and walked over and said, hey, can I get a sliver?
Yeah.
Love calzone. A good calzone. I've actually never had the calzone there at Johnny Russo's.
Yeah, you were missed. People were telling stories. Man,
where they
stories.
Well, I know. There's two people in particular that probably were telling stories about me there that I'm a little concerned with. But hey, it's okay.
You should.
What are you looking at me for?
I was looking at you. You know who I'm talking about.
Oh, that one.
They're on the right side of the picture.
Well, the blonde guy.
Yeah, right. The very light colored haired guy, right?
Yeah.
Right. Little,
Oh, yeah.
little
Wait,
gray.
I heard-
he may have been born prior to 47, Robert, by the way, over there. Anyway,
You mean it's not
hopefully he's listening right
Yeah.
now.
No, it was really.
Remember he talked about his serving in the Air Force, and I asked him if they had planes back then when he served. Because I know how much how much guff he gave me when I wasn't there, so he's not here. So guess what we get to do?
Actually, he
That's
left
it.
you alone.
Did he?
Yeah.
I don't believe you.
I don't
I don't believe you one bit. Anyway, what do you got to close on?
The event was really great. I keep looking forward to the next one. I'm getting with Mark to see, because we're thinking about making it a little bit bigger and maybe involving a charity that we could probably like sit with a restaurant and see if we could donate some Teamster. Like we have a Teamster night and involve a charity, see if we could help them out.
It's a good idea.
And a salad.
I like that.
And a salad.
That's for you.
Well, it was
Savannah.
good. It for those of you that don't know what we're talking about, maybe you're listening for the first time to this event. What James came up with is an idea for us to once a month have dinner at a Teamster Advantage partner, obviously one of the 1,000 small businesses connected to our Teamster Advantage network, and just have everybody kind of get together and convene on that restaurant or that place of business to again promote small business and obviously promote that engagement with the community. So it sounds like it went really well, and you need to get the next one on the calendar, get the date, put it up on the calendar. Let's get it out and let everybody know, and make sure we get RSVPs. And it was good to see that how many we thought would be there were there, and now we can build it out and increase it. And that way, when we tell somebody we're going to have X amount of people there, they're going to be there.
Yeah.
Because the worst thing you can do is say you're going to have 25 extra people. They end up having
15.
extra, and you end up with having less and coming up short, and then they end up being on the short end of the stick as a small business owner. We don't want to do that. So thanks for coming on. Anything you want to close on, James? Is with James Bites Back?
No, I think that's pretty much it. Did you
It
know
wasn't
it's
too gluttonous. It wasn't
Did you
too
know it's
gluttonous.
impossible for you to feel your tongue when you smile?
I've never tried to fill my tongue. I mean,
But
I
I'm
guess you
pretty
could
sure
smile.
I've had a lot of people smiling out there right now. See, you're doing it now.
Oh, I love these little fun facts you bring in, James. This is the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corgan and the Teamsters 1932 Broadcast Network. We're going to take a quick, fast break so that we can transition to our next guest who has been patiently waiting on the screen. Take it away, Mark. We're back. This is the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corgan on the Teamsters Local 1932 Broadcast Network. And don't forget, you can always catch us at radio show at teamsters1932.org. Love to hear your feedback, hear your ideas, suggestions, and all that good stuff. We have Jose Pacheco, who's running for the CalPERS board. He's actually an incumbent. He's already on the board, and we appreciate him coming on the show. We have a lot of members that participate in CalPERS, And from what I understand, he has got a lot of great information for us. We appreciate you being patient. When I talked to you a couple weeks ago, I was able to squeeze you into this show, and we obviously have a pretty busy show with a lot of guests on it. But this is the Worker Power Hour. What do you think?
This is awesome, Randy. Can you hear me very well, sir?
Yes, we can hear you perfectly fine.
Oh my God! No, I was listening to you guys earlier with the Candy Show and so forth, and it was pretty cool. No, this is really really cool. I really appreciate the opportunity, sir. And Randy, this is awesome. Just totally awesome. Thank you.
So why don't you introduce yourself? Talk about how long you've been on the CalPERS board. Kind of what your role is on the board there.
So my name is Jose Luis Pacheco. I am the incumbent CalPERS board member on the board. I've been on the board for actually 3.5 years. So I'm now rerunning again for the CalPERS board. For me, being on the board is very personal. I come from humble roots. I was born and raised in Watsonville, California, in the Pajaro Valley district. My mother was a starch union organizer with the Communication Workers of America. She was a telephone operator, and my mom just showed me the ropes on what it is to be a union person, and I became a union person. And when she retired from the phone company, she retired with a pension and health benefits, and she retired with dignity and respect. And her health benefits not only take care of my mom, but it also takes care of my dad. And one of the big things that I've seen with my parents is that right now, both my parents have a severe form of diabetes. And that health benefit that they have, lifetime benefits from working all those years for the phone company, provides that. And I wanted to make sure that when I joined the board, and I joined the board because I wanted to help, and not just my calling, I just want to help people. I wanted to make sure that the 2.3 million public employees, which many of our Teamsters brothers and sisters have CalPERS, they also retire with dignity and respect, and they have the health benefits necessary so they can live the dream.
Yeah, there's a lot of attacks on public employees, a lot of attacks on the retirement systems. Those are all, in my opinion, narratives to try to take those tax dollars and put them in, corporate America's pockets. And I think that it's important for us to point out the fact that corporate America, wants to rail about tax dollars only because they want to get their hands on that pie, right? And they have kind of fleeced the government pretty good. And some of the last pockets are actually retirement funds, right? They want that money in their pocket so that they can get these subsidies and discounts and infrastructure breaks and all the crazy things that really they don't need it for, especially with corporate America's profits where they are. And in the meantime, what they do is they villainize the very public employees and the very individuals that save lives every single day. The one example I always love to use is water. People in the water industry, those are all union workers. That millions of people every day their lives are saved because there's no cholera in the water. Water is safe to drink, safe to bathe in, safe to utilize. And, we weren't always that way. For thousands of years, millions of people died because of them ingesting water. It was actually a scary thing for hundreds of years for people to go up and drink water. And what's happened in today's day is we take this for granted now because the infrastructure's been in place, and then there's an attack to try to take those dollars away. So we appreciate your advocacy at trying to prevent corporate America from taking good benefits from workers, which you protect every day. So thank you for that work. And I'm sure I just sparked a couple things you want to talk about.
Oh, no, I mean, let me tell you something. I want to put corporate America in check. And that's the thing we have to do. We have to put them in check. I mean, I'll give you an example. One of the big things at CalPERS is private equity. A lot of people have been talking about private equity. They are a group of individuals out there that want to take over the economy. And they're working behind the scenes. They're buying up companies. They're gobbling up things. They put companies out of business. A great example of that is the Toys R Us experience, right? One of the important things that we have to do is we have to put those items in check. And let me tell you, is that last month at our offsite on our board side, I was the maker of the motion of a particular bill called SB 351. This bill, which is right now in the assembly. So I hope all our brothers and sisters here call their assembly person and make sure it gets moved to the governor, it gets signed. this bill makes sure that private equity folks do not make medical judgments on people, on patients. That's the lane of the doctors and the nurses and the PAs and the medical assistants. Those are the people that went to school, medical school, nursing school, PA school to take care of that. Private equity folks, you guys went to business school, you stay in your lane. Making sure that those guardrails are in place so those particular people know where they belong.
Isn't it crazy we're in this space where
Right.
where for profit has now encroached so much on healthcare
Right.
that we're having this conversation? It's a bit shocking.
It is.
It's like, wait a minute here. Like, and again, that's why, why the healthcare, one of the many reasons the healthcare industry has fallen apart is this so many things were deregulated in the 80s, 90s, and here recently, so many pieces of it that it allowed, it used to be that the hospital, your community owned your hospital. And that hospital, there was a responsibility of those individuals on the board of that hospital that were elected to the board. And there are a handful of community hospitals left, but quite frankly, most of them have been kind of run out of business because of exactly what you're saying now. And it's like, oh, we got to run it more profitable. No, man, you do not. When it comes to people's health, this is not good. Anyway,
No, Randy. Let me tell you something. You had a big point here. I don't know if people know this or not, but CalPERS is the largest purchaser of health benefits services in the state of California. And you all know the state of California, the fourth largest economy in the world, right? And not only that, we've got leverage. We provide health benefits to 1.5 million people. That is a lot of leverage, a lot of power that we can tell these big companies, these big medical facilities like Kaiser, United Health, Anthem, Blue Cross, and so forth. Hey, we've got leverage. If you want to have our money, our labor money, our workers' money, you better listen to us and make sure that you provide quality health care for our folks. And you do it in the right way. You do it in a good way for people because we're not. We're there. We got our principles, our labor principles. The principles that I grew up with when I grew up in Watsonville. I'm a farm boy. I'm no city flick guy. I grew up in the farm. I grew up in Watsonville, and these values are in me all the way. And my union values are with me. So those are the things I carry with me all the time on the board.
Yeah, and appreciate that. Appreciate your parents. That hard work in that space, and obviously Watsonville is an area where there's a lot of farm workers and a lot of hard work done every single day by working people, working class people, and we appreciate that work that they do. I know not everybody does, and some people want to be dismissive of it, but we got to get back into a space where we're a little more empathetic. Let me shift gears back over to the CalPERS stuff, like on the pension side, on the retirement side of things. Why don't you talk about the things that you're doing to prevent, that fleecing of a plan that's going to, and most people don't realize that the vast majority of those that are participating in CalPERS don't have Social Security, or they have a very short window that they were in Social Security. The time that they were participating in CalPERS, they didn't have Social Security.
Correct.
And so that's their only retirement. That is the replacement. Of course, the narrative doesn't go out there when they start to say, oh, this and that's going on with these lucrative retirement plans. Like, come on. What do you got to say on that?
No, I mean, let me tell you something. No, Randy, thank you for sharing that question. No, I mean, for us, the system is really important for our members. I don't know if people know this or not, but you know what the average payout is per month to our members, to our 750,000 retirees that have right now collect the pension? It's only $3,000 a month. $3,000. That's about it on average.
I was just getting ready to write $36,000 a year, right?
You are, oh my God, that's amazing.
I swear. I was going to write it and show it to you.
Oh my, you had already done the research. I can tell. I can already tell. 3,000.
Yeah, but what happens is they prop up this city manager or this person that is pulling down a big paycheck, which is a very small percentage of them,
Absolutely.
and make it sound like everybody's getting $300,000 a year, $400,000 a year, and repeat that again. The average is $36,000 a year that you're paying out in a retirement benefit.
And
don't tell me people are getting rich off of that.
No. And you know what? Many folks call me. They'll call me on my they'll call me and they'll ask me, what can we do, Jose Luis? What do we do? There are programs that there are financial literacy programs and ways to budget yourself and everything. But a lot of folks, it's a struggle, right? I mean, it's a struggle. And when I hear things from these people saying, that pensions are bad and everything like that, that's all baloney.
That's all corporate America.
Exactly.
Pensions are more expensive than 401ks and 403bs. That's correct. They are, because they're more secure and they're going to be more dependable. And that is exactly why corporate America has tried to create this message to get away from them, is so that they can continue to shirk their responsibility of making sure workers have a future retirement.
Defined benefits. Defined benefits are the key. They are the savior of our system. They have provided us the ability for all our folks, all our public employee folks, and defined contribution. That's just out there. It's whatever they want to say. That's not it. It's defined,
and it's a good supplement. The original architects to the 401 had actually built it out as a supplement to a defined benefit, not a defined contribution. And they're matter of fact, it was like 6 or 7 years ago, they came out and basically said, we're very disappointed that it has become the primary retirement vehicle, a 401k or a 403b or 457. That's not what it was intended for.
Right.
And corporate America just can't help itself. It says, oh yeah, here's a retirement vehicle that you can contribute to. They don't have to write the check for it anymore, which is why they got off the hook. What they did, that's why one of the many reasons why corporate profits are so high is because they took that money out of the worker's pocket and put it in theirs. Exactly. And then they get celebrated.
Yeah. That's all.
It's stealing.
It's stealing, absolutely stealing. I mean, you're transferring, their narratives is to transfer the risk from their side to the risk to the individual, to us. We're not, I mean, we didn't go to school to learn, to learn how to do financial manipulations and so forth. That's not our lane. Our lane is to help our folks, we're the bus drivers, we're the paraeducators, we're the clerk people. I'm an IT guy. I mean, I work in the server room. I mean, give me a break.
You make a great point, and that's how the big bamboozle has happened over the last 50 years. Is the average worker is working hard and they're trying to get their kids to soccer practice and they're trying to do this and they're trying to do that. They're trying to maybe enjoy a weekend off here or there, or maybe try to go on a vacation of a few days. And they don't have time to be independent financial specialists, right? So them figuring out where those investment vehicles are and you should have control of your money. Well, guess what? We have seen what the last 30 years has done when people have control over their money and they don't have defined benefits, that they end up spending the money. Number one, some will say, oh, well, you shouldn't spend the money. Okay, well, first of all, that's why a defined benefit doesn't allow you to spend the money, is so that it's guaranteed. It's like you can't go to Social Security and pull your money out early. Like, oh, there's X amount of money there. I want to buy a car, or I'm running into some issues, and therefore I want to cash out my Social Security. You can't do that. That's what pension plans were built to do, is to make sure that people had that secure future. 401ks, the statistics show that more than 80% draw their 401ks down to zero prior to retiring because of one of three issues: a death or some sort of catastrophe, a loss in job, and then the third, you touched on it earlier, was healthcare expenses. Those three are what bankrupt, essentially wipe out someone's 401k, 403b, 457, whatever it may be, that savings vehicle. And we have to pay attention and make sure workers understand we got to get back to demanding that retirement vehicles are there, because attacking CalPERS or any public employee who doesn't have Social Security is dangerous.
No, we have to, and I am a starch supporter of that. I I want all of us to go back to defined benefits. I mean, it provides stability for our workers. It provides stability it makes our economy and our democracy better, overall in the end, in the long run.
That money gets spent back in the economy.
And not only the economy, but also the local economy, the state of California. I mean, just think about all what we could do if we bring in more of that into our state. I mean, we would build up more things, more infrastructure, build better schools, better overall, and help our community. We'd make our community awesome. I mean, I had the privilege of last week I was in the Inland Empire, and I just saw the awesomeness of all our diversity of what local 1932 along that corridor, from Redlands to Palm Springs up to Ontario, and it's amazing. I mean, it's absolutely amazing of all the businesses and all the people and the diversity and the Latinos. I mean, for me, yo hablo mucho español, soy mexicano, but I am.
Okay.
I feel it.
Sorry. I'm a white guy. What do you expect me to do here?
No, brother, that's okay. It's okay. I mean, but me, I feel it. I feel the energy, brother. I feel
we appreciate that. So, what else are you doing to hold corporate America accountable? We got about 4 minutes here.
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, the other thing that we do at CalPERS, we make sure that we keep them in check in terms of labor principles. At CalPERS, we have some labor principles to make sure that that we provide that they respect collective bargaining agreements. They don't exploit child labor, for instance. A few years ago we had an incident where there was a private equity company that had a company. It was in 60 Minutes. It was the Packer Sanitation, and it was ugly. And we made sure that we engaged them. In fact, I was very, very vocal about that on the board because I wanted to make sure those folks we engaged and make sure that that kind of behavior isn't tolerated in the United States. And we're not going to do that. That's not us. That's not who we are. And we're going to make sure that we put guardrails in place. Making sure we put guardrails on like in sense private equity, for instance. Making sure that we have checks and balances because it's okay to make money. But you make it in an ethical manner. You make it with respecting workers. You make it respecting the people.
And having labor principles and let me just unpack that for a second. What you're referring to is that the money that CalPERS is using to invest in the market or invest in where these businesses need capital is you're making sure that they hold to certain labor principles, correct?
Absolutely.
Because they're all coming to you for the billions of dollars that are in that fund saying, hey, we want to borrow money to build our business or to build it bigger or to do the things that we're looking, capital investments, ABC.
Yeah.
But there should be a level of accountability there to make sure.
Absolutely, brother. I mean, and like, for instance, another thing is, I'm a stark supporter of responsible contractor policy, making sure that all of our real estate and our infrastructure have prevailing wages, have, apprenticeship programs, and have project labor agreements. Those are important. Those just make common sense. We got to make sure that we pay our people right and we give them the opportunity to be successful. It's just common sense. But the power of CalPERS and the labor power, it's not. This money here, I'm just an agent for the 2.3 million members. For me, it's the members' money. It's the members. The members decide collectively. 2.3 million of them decide what they want to do. And they want to do it. They want to do it because it's their money. It's workers' money. Nobody else. It's not corporations' money. It's workers' money.
Well, we appreciate you coming on the show. We only have about a minute and a half left. Is there any closing comments you want to make before I ask you a final question?
All right. Well, first of all, Randy, thank you so much for this opportunity. Again, I really appreciate everything you've done, and thank you for everything and the opportunity, and thank you for for the Teamsters Joint District Council 42 to have endorsed my candidacy and so forth. And I want to welcome individuals to look up my website at www.pachecoforcalpers.com. Please vote. The voting begins on August 29th to September 29th. You're going to get a blue ballot, and mark down me so I can continue the good work that we're doing on the board.
We'll make sure that we share this this podcast and this clip, this section of the show with all of our members that are impacted by your decisions. We appreciate the work that you're doing, advocating for them. And real quickly, what do you think of us having our own radio show, our own live show, and our own radio network and all this good stuff? It's good stuff, isn't it? We're having
Oh
a good
my
time
God!
here.
No, I mean, let me tell you something. Your show is well known, and being invited here was just an honor. It's a privilege. You guys are doing a lot of great work, and I look forward. I hope I get invited again and keep spreading telling you what all the good things we're doing at CalPERS. I think hopefully this will be a good beginning.
Yeah, well, I got to wrap this part of the show up. Thanks for coming on. Really appreciate. We've had Jose Pacheco on from the CalPERS board. This is the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan, the Teamsters Local 1932 Broadcast Network. Long-time organizer, first-time radio host. Taking it away to a break at the top of the hour.
Located in the heart of San Bernardino, California, the Teamsters Local 1932 Training Center is designed to train workers for high-demand, good-paying jobs in various industries throughout the Inland Empire. If you want a pathway to a high-paying job and the respect that comes with a union contract,
NBC News on KCAA Loma Linda, sponsored by Teamsters Local 1932, protecting the future of working families. Teamsters1932.org.
NBC News Radio. I'm Chris Caraccio. The weather near North Carolina's Outer Banks is set to worsen soon as Hurricane Erin moves through the Atlantic Ocean. A state of emergency has been declared as the storm's outer bands are expected to bring poor weather conditions to the region. Swimming at most East Coast beaches is being advised against. Erin has maximum sustained winds of 110 miles an hour and is about 335 miles southeast of North Carolina. A Republican redistricting plan is set to be voted on in the Texas State House soon. The House reconvened today after protests from Democrats that saw them leave the state to break quorum. The plan could be voted on today and by the state Senate as early as tomorrow. The new congressional map would create 5 more Republican-leaning districts. House Democrats were placed under around-the-clock supervision by House Speaker Dustin Burrows to ensure they would return to the state capitol today. And an estimated $643 million will be up for grabs when tonight's Powerball drawing takes place. I'm Chris Caraccio, NBC News Radio.
Located in the heart of San Bernardino, California, the Teamsters Local 1932 Training Center is designed to train workers for high-demand, good-paying jobs in various industries throughout the Inland Empire. If you want a pathway to a high-paying job and the respect that comes with a union contract, visit 1932trainingcenter.org to enroll today. That's 1932trainingcenter.org.
KCAA, where life's much better. So download the app in your smart device today. Listen everywhere and anywhere, whether you're in Southern California, Texas, or sailing on the Gulf of Mexico. Life's a breeze with KCAA. Download the app in your smart device today.
I'll be sailing out of yesterday in the Gulf of Mexico.
KCAA. This segment is sponsored by our radio listening post in Yucaipa. Yucaipa Farm Fresh Produce, where you can get healthy in the heart of Yucaipa. You'll find locally sourced fresh fruit, vegetables, farm eggs, honey, fresh bread, nuts, and for your sweet tooth, delicious ice cream and locally produced candy from licorice to chocolates, all to your heart's content. It's Yucaipa Farm Fresh Produce, just down the street from Toscano's Pizza, between 13th and 14th on Yucaipa Boulevard. Open every day, weekdays from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on weekends to 5 p.m. For more info, you can call 909-790-6106. That's 909-790-6106. Shop local with Yucaipa Farm Fresh Produce. Tell them you heard it on this radio station and saw it on the DNA advertising screen inside the store. It's Yucaipa Farm Fresh Produce.
Now, here's a new concept, digital network advertising, where businesses display your ad inside their building. If a picture's worth 1,000 words, your company is going to thrive with digital network advertising. Choose your marketing sites or jump on the DNA system and advertise with all participants. Your business ad or logo is rotated multiple times an hour inside local businesses where people will discover your company. Digital network advertising. DNA, a novel way to be seen and remembered. Digital network advertising with networks in Redlands and Yucaipa. Call in the 909 area 222-9293 for introductory pricing. That's 909-222-9293 for digital network advertising. One last time, digital network advertising. 909-222-9293.
I'm Lillian Vasquez with Community Matters. There are many car clubs and car shows throughout the Inland Empire. I visited a car show in Yucaipa and spoke with David Avila, president of Past Pleasures Car Club. He shared about the club, its purpose, and when it first began.
Well, it's kind of a debate. We believe that the first organized group was around 1979, but more officially closer to 1986 or 87. We gathered to help celebrate the Southern California car culture of the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s.
David shared the types of cars you might see and, of course, his pride and joy.
We see all kinds of cars from early model hot rods to very, very well-appointed custom cars, all makes and models. We have everything that's pre-80. I have a 1966 Chevelle Malibu, the yellow one here, my pride and joy, but everyone just brings whatever they have. There's several cars that are under various stages of construction and restoration, and we enjoy seeing them and seeing the progress every month that they bring. It's just a wonderful event, and it's a nice family-friendly. We have bubble gum blowing contests, hula hoops, a limbo contest. It's just a wonderful family event, and we encourage everybody who has a car or don't have a car, come over here and enjoy the camaraderie that we have, again, celebrating the Southern California car culture.
You don't have to have a car in the show. Spectators and car enthusiasts are encouraged to check out the classics. It's free to attend. The Past Pleasure Car Club shows off their cars the first Friday of the month from April through November, located in the Ross parking lot on Yucaipa Boulevard. For Community Matters, I'm Lillian Vasquez.
Welcome to the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan, a brand new show about labor and worker issues. The host of the show is Randy Corrigan, Secretary, Treasurer, and Principal Office and leader of Teamsters 1932, one of the largest public sector labor unions on the West Coast, representing workers in government and non-sworn law enforcement personnel. Randy Corrigan is a 30-year Teamster who first became involved in the labor movement by volunteering his time as an organizer with the Teamsters Union at the age of 21. Since then, he's helped thousands organize, mobilize, and achieve bargaining rights. He accomplished this by spending countless hours with brave men and women all over Southern California, in their living rooms, on the picket line, to bring workers towards victory. This is the Worker Power Hour. And now here's the host of the show, Randy Corrigan.
We're back. This is the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan on the Teamsters Local 1932 Broadcast Network. Remember, you could always reach us at radio show at teamsters1932.org. You can email us. You can comment on our guests. Give us suggestions on things you would like to hear, guests you'd like for us to have. Give us some of our best suggestions have actually come from our members or from listeners that led to James Bites Back, as an example. And so we're definitely always open to those ideas, so make sure you email us or reach out so that we can have that engagement and that exchange. And so we're in the second hour. Remember, don't ever forget that I'm a longtime organizer, first-time radio host, so any of these times I make mistakes on my radio broadcasting, I get to blame my rookie status or my inexperience of being a radio host, but more importantly, I'm a union organizer. I've always been one, and I'm always going to be one. And what I'm going to do is we have Congressman Takano on the show here in a couple minutes. I'm going to get through some news first, and then we're going to introduce him into the next segment. And we've got a lot to talk about because there is a lot going on. In Worker Power Hour news, union workers protest at Nashville Veterans Affairs Medical Center. A recent move from the Trump administration to eliminate collective bargaining rights is upsetting unions and workers alike. AFGE Local 2400, Christopher Bennett, said it's illegal and we're fighting for all of our union employees across the country. There's a lot of them and it's just unfair. Quite frankly, just the last week alone, or a couple weeks alone, it was over 400,000 of them. The call, quote, the call to order is to stop trying to privatize the VA, to stop trying to give our healthcare service to a private sector person that's going to make a profit off it. The quote also goes on to say the government for decades has been more than happy to send us overseas to wherever and then leave us alone when we get back. In a statement from the Nashville VA, organization leaders praised the move to protest, claiming that it would allow them more time to focus on veteran care and less time on union demands. Quite frankly, if there are union demands that are happening, that means there are challenges happening within the organization and within the structure of a very large organization. And, it's important to be able to make sure that the workers' feedback, the ones that actually do the job, are being heard and how to resolve those things. The next thing in news is, when is Labor Day in California? As a question. What to know about the holiday's history and why it's celebrated. During the 3-day Labor Day weekend, many Californians will travel, shop for deals online and in stores, and maybe sneak in one final visit to the beach or a neighborhood pool. However, the federal holiday is much more than just a summer's last hurrah. Observed each year on the first Monday of September, Labor Day is also a celebration of hard-won achievements of the American labor movement and a recognition of what workers have contributed to the nation's prosperity. Understand this holiday is about working people. It's not about corporate America. It's about working people. Even though corporate America benefits from the holiday and has sales and does all this stuff on retail, the reality is this holiday is about working people. The Labor Day holiday originated during a dismal time for American workers who faced long hours, low wages, and unsafe conditions. Ironically, many still do now. As labor unions and activists advocated and fought for better treatment of workers at the height of the Industrial Revolution, the idea arose to establish a day dedicated to celebrating the members of trade and labor unions. There's more to this, and we will explore in the next episode on this topic. Right before Labor Day, we're going to talk a little bit more about it. So always remember where this holiday came from. The next thing in the news is an appeals court says the NLRB structure is unconstitutional in a win for SpaceX. The federal appeals court handed SpaceX a win on Tuesday in a ruling that prevents the National Labor Relations Board from prosecuting unfair labor practices against the company. The ruling by the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit would suggest the structure of the NLRB is likely unconstitutional, could have far-reaching efforts. The ruling keeps unfair labor practice cases against SpaceX and two other companies, Energy Transfer and FindHelp, on hold while the companies pursue their claim that the NLRB structure violates the U.S. Constitution. While the court did declare it unlawful, this is far from a settled issue, and the NLRB is undoubtedly likely to challenge the ruling. Understand something. This issue has already been before the Supreme Court. This issue has already been raised before. It's already been presided over. And guess what? They're going to take another run at it and hope to get what they want. And the reality is these big corporations that are trying to make the board unconstitutional, well then, what rules do workers have? The board was formed to protect workers, period. And now let's get rid of that so there's no actual institution to protect workers. It's just shows you where we are. In IBT news, drivers at a High Desert facility joined the Teamsters. 30 drivers at High Desert Distributing in Bakersfield, California will now be represented by Local 87. The drivers voted for strong union representation to secure higher wages, better benefits, and improved working conditions. We're proud to welcome our new members to the Teamsters, said John Morales, the Secretary-Treasurer of Teamsters Local 87. The union busters tried like hell to break this group, but they stood strong and united, and we're committed to helping them win a contract that addresses years of workplace issues and brings them respect. We'll also have first student drivers in Northern California become Teamsters. Workers at the First Student in San Leandro have voted overwhelmingly to become Teamsters at Local 853. The 40 new Teamsters provide student transportation for San Leandro Unified School District and San Lorenzo Unified School District. Congratulations to our newest brothers and sisters who are fighting to get what they deserve, said Steve Beck, Secretary-Treasurer of Local 859. These drivers ensure that our kids get to and from school safely. They ought to be treated with the respect that they deserve, a fair contract that reflects their importance within the community. Lastly, Car Hall Teamsters hold area standards picket. Car Hall Teamsters from Locals 89, 332, and 604 have launched area standards pickets outside General Motors plants in Michigan, Kentucky, and Missouri. The actions targeted non-union carriers operating out of GM's Flint, Bowling Green, and Wentzville assembly plants. Non-union carriers out of these plants are dragging down standards that Teamsters have fought decades to win, said Avril Thompson, president of Local 89 and director of the Teamsters Car Hall Division. We are fighting for every union family that depends on these jobs to provide fair wages, strong benefits, and the ability to retire with dignity. All right, next part of our show, and good for those car haulers out there trying to make a difference and make sure area standards are upheld. We have Congressman Takano on the show. Congressman, really appreciate you coming on. You have a great track record of being very labor friendly, of being very accessible, and have being always willing to listen to those in our space advocating for labor. And I've also always been impressed with your knowledge when it comes to what's going through Congress, what the bills, specifically how these bills are written, the kind of crazy loopholes that are in there sometimes, the pitfalls, and we've always been impressed by your approach to representing your constituents in your congressional district, and we just want to let you know we really appreciate that, and always fighting on behalf of labor. That's not something that we get to see all the time. So thank you very much, and the mic is yours.
Well, you're welcome, Randy, and my relationship with labor began long before I became a member of Congress. It began when I first got elected to the Riverside Community College Board of Trustees way back in 1990. The building trades here locally and the Central Labor Council of Riverside and San Bernardino counties. I understand we've renamed the Central Labor Council. The name is a little bit different. I think it's the Inland Empire
Labor Council, IELC,
yeah. But back then it was the Central Labor Council of Riverside and San Bernardino counties, and one of the things that I'm very proud to have accomplished, along with my then colleagues, now Supervisor Jose Medina and Mary Figueroa, who is still a trustee there, is we enacted the very first public project labor agreement. And I understand we call them something differently now. We call them community
benefit agreements.
Community benefit agreements. But that was a kind of which side are you on moment.
Yeah, it was very groundbreaking at the time.
Right? Yes. What it meant is I believed that money that the community raised through its bonds, which is really kind of a tax, really. Every homeowner and every property owner contributed money for Riverside Community College to a bond to be able to build out new campuses, new facilities. I believed that that the workers, the people who live there, should be able to benefit from that bond. It shouldn't go to contractors who cut corners, cheat, and that we needed an enforcement mechanism so that state labor laws were enforced and that there was an even playing field.
I think we can all appreciate anybody who's done any home remodeling that being cheated by or cut corners by a contractor. So I don't mean to cut you off, but I think that the point is true. And to get into bigger scale, it even happens on a larger scale.
That's right. When you're talking, the bond that was just passed by the voters last year, November of 2024, about $1 billion was passed, and that's going to be leveraged with some state money. So we're talking $1.5 $2 billion locally that will be spent on construction projects. It's very, very important that that the bidding process means that working people, labor unions, aren't being cut out, and that whoever wins those contracts, they're paying benefits and salary and wages to the workers that doesn't undercut anybody. And that was the important principle. Since then, I think I've done everything I can as a member of Congress to make sure that I support, lend whatever oomph I have for a candidate to candidates that are going to get on city councils, water boards, board of supervisors, and they're going to support this similar principle whenever public construction dollars are spent. And that's bread and butter to, I think, our building trades to be able to know that whatever the business cycle, where that goes, whether we're going through the hard or lean times, that there's always public spending on building projects, and that working men and women can count on that they're going to be treated fairly in the construction trades.
Where'd you go from there? You started.
Well, I was a teacher, a public school teacher. I taught in the Rialto schools. I taught public school for 24 years, and I was a member of the local, California Teachers Association / National Education Association, local, the Rialto Education Association, and I paid my union dues every month by automatic pay, check off on my union dues, and so I've been a union member. I've also, when I got to Congress, I fought hard to get onto the Education and Labor Committee. When the Democrats are in control of Congress, we call it the Education and Labor Committee. Republicans don't like the word labor. They changed the name, so they're in charge right now. The House of Representatives, they call it the Education and Workforce Committee. I mean, it's not a huge deal, but
well, it says something.
But it just, Randy, it's the principle that they just hate the word labor. They really do hate the word labor, and I think everyone should understand that there is a deep-seated hatred of labor by the other side. Now, some Republicans, some of them come from districts that closely contested, and they come from labor backgrounds themselves. But in general, the hostility toward labor is really strong, and I think it's exemplified by the cancellation of contracts.
Yeah, we're seeing it right now
at the VA. That is an ideological, deep-seated hatred of labor from President Trump has claimed to be someone who's for the working person, and this is evidence that
it's very counter to that.
If he cared about it, he would step in and say, "No, respect these contracts, respect the labor."
Yeah, under the Constitution of the United States, we have the ability to engage in a contract with one another.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
And so I find it ironic that in one breath, some will argue things are unconstitutional, but then turn around and do something like this, which is clearly a violation of the law, number one. Number two, and the thing I want to point out that I have had this debate with a lot of unions or discussion with a lot of unions that are being impacted by these sort of decisions, is that public workers didn't always have the right to collectively bargain. That was gained over time, just like private sector. Private sector was a little earlier, 34, 35, it became law. It wasn't until the 60s that public sector workers gained that right. So when you talk about the federal sector, the ability to not strike is in exchange for having collective bargaining. So I find it ironic that you pound into workers at the federal level that you can't go on strike, you can't go on strike, you can't go on strike. But that discussion was, you're going to have collective bargaining, so you don't need to strike. Now the collective bargaining is being wiped away. So quite frankly, I think they got the right to withhold their labor and say, hey, enough's enough. I know that may be for a later date, but I find it ironic that this criticism of public employees that are providing these very essential services, really all it is it's an attack to give corporate buddies a deal to then subcontract out or contract this out and get these big corporations to have more tax dollars in their pocket?
Well, and let's understand that when it comes to the federal workforce at the VA and actually across the federal workforce, we're not talking about the full-on collective bargaining rights that that other unions may have related to compensation. It's not like that's what's at stake here, because what they're paid is very much determined by a federal pay schedule. What we're talking about is simply being able to question whether or not your paycheck is accurate and grieve whether you've been shorted in your paycheck.
Or been disciplined.
Disciplined unfairly. The ability to tell your side of the story and not look, whenever you're in a situation where there is absolute power of others, managers over you, there's going to be abuses and there's going to be a vindictiveness. And you frankly need a union to be able to defend against that kind of arbitrary power. And so what I'm scared about, now let's remember, 25% of the federal workforce, including at the VA, they're veterans.
That's correct.
So if here's a president and a party that claims to love veterans. This president claims to like he went after union votes and got them. And here we have a really horrible situation where he's taken away collective bargaining. He's also taken away protections for the men and women who wore the uniform in the United States. That to me is just reprehensible.
Yeah, I think it really does you did a good job of kind of, articulating where we are at a point in time. You can't sit there and say I'm for the working person and I'm for the working class and then turn around and actually wipe away some of their rights.
Well,
obviously you can do that. You can attempt to do that, but it's very contradictory.
Well, and don't forget the veteran piece of it. We're talking about so nobody should lose their rights. But most of all, we should get very steamed up when rights are taken away from our veterans, people who stood up for us, sacrificed for us, put their lives at risk. Now, let's. And I
appreciate you have been a huge advocate for veterans for the entire time you've been in Congress, by the way.
Well, that's the other committee that I got on from the time I started in Congress. It's like 13, 14 years ago. 2012 was when I was elected. I got on the Veterans Affairs Committee. I'm the current ranking member. I had the honor of serving as chair of that committee. And, the fact, now here's what I'm worried about at the VA. So we're talking about a 400,000 plus workforce. It's the largest healthcare organization in the country.
Yep.
And that's most of what VA spends its money on. It's healthcare and veterans benefits, disability compensation, GI Bill, educational benefits, but the bulk of it is in healthcare. And we make a deal. We make a contract, a promise to our veterans when they sign up in the volunteer military we have. You put your life on the line for our country. You expose yourself to the risks of toxic environments. We will pledge to take care of your health. And if you get injured, you get amputated, whatever things that mangle your body in your service, we're going to have your back. And that's what the VA healthcare system was set up to do. And I'm very concerned that with the unfair working conditions at the VA, it's going to become less and less of an attractive place to work, even for those people who really are there for the mission. They're not there for the high salaries, and there's not VA medical providers are, they're not paid the highest. They're there because of their commitment to the mission of taking care of veterans. And so I'm worried this is all a part of a really cynical plan to diminish the workforce at VA and find or now have a reason to privatize more and more of VA services. And believe me, a privatized VA is not going to be good for the veteran. That veteran with very complicated health conditions, that's maybe a triple, quadruple amputee, the private sector is just not going to be incentivized enough to be able to provide the kind of care that that veteran deserves.
Well, the private sector has already shown its inability to care in
I would
healthcare.
agree. I would agree.
It's already shown it. So if you add this up and you put it together to where the equation is veterans that we obviously have to take care of, and we've made that commitment to, as you so eloquently pointed out, and then we abandon our responsibility to take care of them, and then we want to offload it onto the private sector. All right, well, I guess the argument is, where's the private sector done a great job? Everybody agrees that the private sector, when it comes to healthcare, has not done a good job in the last couple of decades.
I think, Randy, you and I can go on and on about that. One of the things that the right wing, the well-funded billionaires that have an ideological chip on their shoulder about the VA being the second largest federal department, they see shrinking it as kind of a pelt, a prize that they want to achieve, and I find it just really peculiar that that's kind of their goal, is they just want to reduce it down. And you're right, most veterans, the RAND Corporation, a really respected think tank, has issued study after study showing that VA healthcare, on balance, is as good or better than private sector healthcare. And one of the things the billionaires like to do is they like to say, "Oh, look at how much time it takes to get an appointment at the VA," and they talk about the wait times. There's a whole game behind wait times, and the new administration under Secretary Collins wants to make it so that everything is skewed toward moving referrals out into the community. But I'm going to tell you something. I bet you have a lot of members and listeners out there who, in the private sector healthcare, the wait times to get appointments in the current health plans out there is really not easy either, especially here in the IE.
Oh, it's terrible in the IE right now.
Yeah.
And it's actually terrible everywhere. Looking at, we just went through this in my household. Last year, it was like August, September, my wife wanted to schedule something. Guess when her date was? April. Like April, because of Optum being bought and that whole scenario that's happened here. Beaver, we're obviously in this area, we're all familiar with some of the local medical centers and places that had a stellar reputation for being extremely good and accessible. But your ability to get in and see somebody, it's now controlled by somebody in a different state. There's all these algorithms to say this and say that. Hospitalization and the ability for Optum to move patients over to the hospital has been negatively affected. Don't get me started on this. We see the negative impact.
Well, so Optum is one of the 3 third-party administrators for the network of private healthcare providers for when VA can't take care of a patient, they don't have a certain specialty. Optum was one of the third-party, what they call a TPA. And they are a subdivision of
United Health.
United Health. Thank you. Thank you. I was having a senior moment.
I got you.
I
got you.
And I'm going to tell you, Optum, from what I know, their contracting with the VA is a huge profit center for United Health. It's one of the ways, and I'm just saying this because we're not being paranoid when we're talking about the motivations of what they're really up to, of trying to move the public dollars into the profiteering of people like Optum and United Health.
Look, we've seen it over and over again. An institution tries to offload their responsibility or move something to where it becomes subcontracted to somebody else. It loses its ability to closely manage and monitor and make sure whatever good or service is actually being performed at a level that it should be. And clearly doing that here is going to lead to a degradation in the services that they currently have. And United Healthcare, their track record since they took over Optum. I know we're a little off subject here, and I got to shift back, but the reality is the private sector trying to come in and take control of what's going on at the VA is just an absolute mistake.
We're not off topic here because I'm going to tell you something. I want to tell you a story. Harvard in the last 6 months to a year came out with this expose, this study about how United Health, Optum, they set up a Medicare Advantage plan for veterans. So they sign all these veterans up who are, they're eligible for Medicare and Medicare Advantage, but they're also enrolled at the VA. So when VA takes care of the health needs of that veteran, Optum is able to get a double dip. They're able to take money, the money they get from Medicare Advantage, and it's VA who actually does the work. So this is kind of one of the ways in which they profiteer. So anyway, getting back to one of the things I want to talk to you about is I know that you represent a lot of public employees here in San Bernardino County and many cities, and many of them are salaried workers. And
are you going to talk about the big ugly bill?
I was going to talk about overtime pay, but we can talk about it. We can, if you want to talk about big ugly bill.
No. Talk about the overtime because this is important on salary.
Okay, so what you all should know is that when Biden left office, his acting secretary Julie Su was setting the threshold for eligibility for overtime pay at a much higher level. I can't remember the number, the salary number, but the bottom line is that when Trump came into power and his secretary of labor, they have set the threshold at $35,000. What that means is that your members, if they earn more than $35,000 a year, they're not eligible for overtime pay. All right. I talked about this on my own social media, and there was some confusion about this because I had a bunch of other Teamsters and others say, well, I earn more than $35,000 a year, and I earn overtime pay. Yes, you do, because you are an hourly worker. You may have a high hourly rate, and you're paid hourly, and you don't lose overtime.
And you could be in a collective bargaining agreement too.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
Which is a key part of this discussion.
That's
Yes.
right. If you are a salaried worker, and if you earn above right now $35,000, you don't, and you work 40 hours or more, you don't get overtime pay, and that's something that Julie Su, Acting Secretary Julie Su, was trying to correct. To give your listeners another perspective,
Robert, can you look up that data point real quick? Look at where it was if you get a chance.
under Julie Su, what
Yeah.
you try to do. So, in the 1970s, over 60% of Americans on salary, if you were a salaried worker in the 1970s, 60% of all of you who were salaried workers got overtime pay. The threshold was set high enough so that 60% of all salaried workers had overtime eligibility. Do you know what that number is today?
I think I do, but
You probably
I'll let
do.
you. But I'll let you say it.
I'm sure you do because you are a leader of a local. I'm sure you know this number. 8%. 8%.
Shocking.
So what happened between 1970 and now? Well, they just allow the threshold to just stay stagnant. It doesn't rise as the cost of living rises.
Wages rise, right?
Wages rise, and over a couple of 2 or 3, 4 decades, salaried workers have lost a lot of ground, and they're not earning overtime pay. And then there's all sorts of games played with, we're going to give you a salary instead of pay you hourly. Since you earn a salary, you're now different. You have a manager's title. Never mind that you may be doing all this. You're not really doing any supervising. It's just a sneaky way to reclassify you, so that we don't have to pay you overtime.
And in what a lot of people don't realize on this subject, in California, there's some wraparound rules for the state of California that, as a salary, as an hourly employee, you have to be on salary and to qualify for some of this, you have to make twice the minimum wage to reach some of these thresholds too. So in other words, in California, whether the federal standard has caught up or not, the good thing is legislature here has tried to keep workers in the space where they continue to get overtime and they don't get, irresponsibly put into hourly when they shouldn't be.
Right. Right. So you have the right.
Or put into salary when they shouldn't be.
So there's a classification, paying attention to the classifying of what a manager is versus not a manager. So look, I have a remedy for this. It's called the Restore Overtime Act. I've introduced it. What it would do is that beginning this year, if it were to pass, we'd increase the threshold from $35,000 to $45,000. Then the following year to $55,000. The following year to $65,000. By 2029, we would set it at a certain percentile and then index it so it doesn't.
So it follows it.
So it doesn't fall behind. But this is a really good example of how the rules of the economy, how the laws we set working people up to fall behind. So a lot of the income inequality that working men and women out there see, why CEOs make so much more or why they're making so much less, is simply a matter of the choices we're making politically. And this is a really good example of that.
I totally agree. Robert, were you able to find that statistic? If anybody can, feel free to put it in our chat here. We'll get it back. You got something here? Yeah, let me just bend that back. It looks like it was 58,000, so it got cut by 23,000. That's what it looks like.
Yeah,
is that about right?
That's about right. I think Julie, what Acting Secretary Sue told me, she wanted to set it at 58,000 a year. That certainly was a bump up. They took it down to 35, and she was going to index it. So every 2 or 3 years, we're going to make sure that we reviewed and increased that amount going forward.
And this other statistic here that we're seeing is more than 1 million salaried workers make under $43,000. Like, people have a tendency to, when they think salary, they're not thinking you're going to be at the poverty line or, somewhere hovering around that. You think salary, you're thinking somewhere well above minimum wage, In California, to be salaried, you got to be double the minimum wage. That was the rule I was referring to.
Yep.
And so good thing is some states do have some wraparound protections, but not everybody does, because obviously you're a congressman and you're trying to help set policy that not only affects your constituents here in California, but helps others in other parts of the country. Thanks for putting that together for me, Robert. Really appreciate it. You're also sponsoring a bill to deal with wage theft. Is that true?
That's right.
Big issue. These big corporations are very creative at creating wage theft on people's paychecks, where it's very hard for individuals to figure out how they're getting ripped off.
It's one of those things I couldn't believe actually
it's shocking.
happens.
It's shocking.
I have talked to my colleague Rosa DeLauro, the chairwoman, the ranking member of the Appropriations Committee. I was just astounded this happens. And when I heard it, I was like, I couldn't believe that in the United States of America, in 2025, we don't have effective ways to audit and to sanction employers who do this, but it happens. It's astounding, and it is legislation that I am eagerly supporting. I can't believe that I don't have that regardless of party, that the Congress is not willing to stand up for workers who are being cheated out of their pay. Where's the president using his bully pulpit? He's bragging about
Bust out an executive order on that, buddy.
Where's the
Right.
where's
Come
the,
on.
where's the executive order on that? It's exactly
You like that?
exactly. Where's the executive order on wage theft?
Yeah.
I'm going after unscrupulous employers who steal money.
I don't know, man. Corporate America's running this country. He's got them sneaking through the back door, trying to, anyway.
Well, he's trying to lull people into, thinking that he's cut there are no taxes on Social Security, no taxes on tips, no taxes on overtime, all of which is frankly, I don't like to use foul language, but it's bullshit because there's still
Mark, you didn't dump. That's all right. That's all right. You're good. It is BS.
There's no
Right.
bleep.
There is bleep, but
he didn't bleep me. All right.
Apparently, we're okay with that word.
Okay. Well,
it's good though. It means that you're passionate about the issue.
Well,
because it is BS.
So anyway, in the big ugly bill, I call it the big ugly bill, not the big beautiful bill. The big ugly bill. What I see happening is commercials already to prop up the Republican fools who voted for the big ugly bill. They're all trying to tout the fact that no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security. But why I call bull on that is that there's still a tax on all those things. It may help a few people, but get this. Those benefits, whatever small benefit accrues to those three groups of people, they all expire after 3 years.
But the tax breaks for the super wealthy on what was the one on private jets? Jets.
Hundreds of millions of
Hundreds of millions of dollars for private jets. I'm not sure why you need a tax break to buy a private jet, but okay, none of those have an expiration date on it.
They're permanent. They're permanent.
Insane.
So it was really important for there to be a permanent tax cut worth millions, sometimes billions of dollars. But for
is anybody here going to buy a private jet anytime soon? I want to know how it works, man. Anybody in the studio? Anybody listening going to buy a private jet?
I'm waiting on my financing to come back.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to leverage the car to try to pull it off.
Yeah. So that's one. So don't be fooled by the ads that are trying to prop up the Republican fools that voted for this bill.
One of the questions I've been getting on this space is let's even just assume for argument's sake that that's great and all workers are going to benefit from it, which those of us that have had to extract it understand that there's a lot of fool's gold in there. Regardless of that, the cuts to Medicaid and Medicare, can you explain from your perspective how impactful this is going to be? We know that more than 1 million people within the Inland Empire are affected by these cuts. Specifically, what are some of these things that really, really stand out to you that you and your team have been able to extract as far as an impact?
Well, we're going to see 15 million at least across the country be cut from these benefits. And it's really insidious how it works. They're going to make it more difficult to enroll. So you have to enroll every 6 months. You have to verify that you are meeting certain work requirements. And so there's this idea of work requirements, and they always cite this example of, we don't want a 28-year-old kid who's living at home playing video games, why should that person get free health care? But here's the irony of that. A 28-year-old healthy male isn't going to cost a whole lot in terms of medical care. That's not the person that is costing the system anything. And so, okay, whether that person should be covered or not, let's put that just aside for a moment now. They're harping on a kind of a false issue there. The other issue is that most of the people who are on Medicaid, most of them are working. And those who aren't working, they're doing something like caregiving, taking care of somebody who, and they're doing us all a big favor by fulfilling that role, because otherwise we'd have to be paying for that as well. So what we're going to lose, through, in Riverside and San Bernardino, we have something called IEHP, the Inland Empire Healthcare Plan. They get paid for every Medi-Cal, which is the same as Medicaid, recipient. They and this other organization called Molina, they about have 10% of that market. But they essentially hire the providers because they have the money. We're going to lose providers if we lose enrollees. If we lose the 30, 40,000 enrollees in each county that we think we're going to lose, that's also providers that are available to the whole community. That will in turn put pressure on the Kaisers and our other hospitals where we have private payers. It's also going to affect those of us who have private insurance. So don't think just because you have private insurance that when people on Medi-Cal are cut off, that somehow you're not going to be unaffected. It's going to affect the whole thing.
The best example I could give with how this is going to play out is everybody is freaking out about how their car insurance and their homeowner's insurance and a lot of areas have risen. Let's just use the homeowner's insurance because of the claims being paid from wildfires and some catastrophes, the floods and things that have happened. And what happened to people that didn't have a fire, that didn't have a flood, that got spread out to everybody else in the system who their homeowner's insurance, like mine, more than doubled to pay for it, because that's what those insurers and banks do, is they spread it out over everybody else. The same thing happens in healthcare and exactly how it spreads back out. So you're absolutely correct. It's great to see that you raise that issue. Again, it's a blind issue because people say, well, I've got my healthcare. And even those of us that they're in the plans that we negotiate, union plans, we see how these create effects. Matter of fact, I have consultants right now unpacking how we think these changes are going to affect the members we have in our healthcare plans here at the local union.
Well, there's another. So let's also talk about not just Medi-Cal or Medicaid, Medi-Cal, Medicaid. Let's also talk about the tens of thousands of people in both counties here who rely on the exchange plans. So these are not Medi-Cal plans; these are exchange plans, and we're talking about people who most often they get subsidies to be able to afford these plans, and we increased the amount of subsidies since the pandemic so that a wider number of people qualify for them. These are people who are paying for a Covered California plan, and they're getting a little help. That help is going to disappear by the end of this year. And so that is also going to have a ripple effect on the cost of, say, your union healthcare plans and the pressure it's going to be on the employers you negotiate with. So it's definitely going to boomerang on all of us, put more pressure on the hospitals and providers who are not going to be paid for their services because people are going to show up at the emergency rooms. People are not going to get access to their providers because they don't have insurance. They're going to be socked with higher prescription bill. I mean, prescriptions, if you're outside of a plan, are just through the roof. We're going to see people be put into tremendous medical debt. This is bad for all of us. It's not just bad for the unlucky who don't have the insurance. It's going to be a massive drain on all of us.
Any other areas you want to cover? We got about 7 minutes or so, 6
Wow.
minutes. Yeah, it's blown by. The time
blown
flies.
by. Let me think. I think we've covered a lot. I know what I want to talk about. It's very important.
Got to be close to the mic, Congressman.
Got to be very important. Got to be very important. I think Gavin Newsom's been hitting his stride lately on his social media, and he's been talking about the need to push back on what President Trump is asking the state of Texas to do, Governor Abbott, which is to change the rules of the game in the middle of the game. He is so scared about how unpopular his policies of firing all these veterans from the federal government, taking away collective bargaining rights. This is all a bad look. And his popularity has gone down. And historically, midterm elections mean a disaster, a loss of a lot of seats in Congress, losing control of the Congress. Why else would he be demanding of Governor Abbott to find 5 more seats that they can turn Republican in the state of Texas? This is patently unfair. He's not only doing that to Texas, he's asking all these other states that will have governors respond. So what is Governor Newsom leading the charge to do, along with the California delegation, along with the California state legislature, is to say, look, we in California don't believe in politicians drawing their own lines. We believe in an independent commission, and I believe in that too. But it's crazy for us to
sit back and let him do it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Sit back and let
Got
him
to
do
fight
it.
fire with fire right now.
Fight fire with fire?
What concerns me on the labor front is that, at least with Congress and the Senate being so close, that there are some things that don't get pushed through. I personally believe that if the Republicans win the House and the Senate again in the midterm, that national right to work will punch right through. It's already lifting up right now. You've got a number of people that are trying to carry it. A number of congressional leaders are trying to carry it. And from a labor perspective, I can't imagine the devastation that's going to wreak on all the non-right to work states as a result of national right to work punching through if they have that midterm.
Well, I think you're pointing to a problem, a real crisis in the way that if they're successful at winning, if we're not successful in putting a check on the power of this president, who's already pretty much squashed the National Labor Relations Board, who's just firing people from the federal government, firing veterans, canceling collective bargaining. This is an extraordinary amount of power. That power needs to be checked.
And it's unprecedented.
It's unprecedented. And
It's never happened.
And if it's not checked.
To be coming from somebody who claims to be, to support working people. Insane.
If it's not checked, I think I could use a few other words to describe where working men and women are going to be, but it's not going to be it's going to be in a very dark place.
And this is where I think workers have got to start to shut it down. We only got 2 minutes. Any closing comments real quick before I wrap the show up?
Just that I'm looking forward to celebrating Labor Day, the celebration of working men and women, and that this country was built on the many, many people who punch a clock every day, who go to work, play by the rules. And I'm inspired every day when I see, a mom with her kids and everybody trying to make do with the rising prices. I want you to know that you all inspire me, and I'll continue to fight for all of you every day that I have the opportunity to do so while I'm a member of Congress.
Well, thank you, Congressman Takano. We appreciate you coming on. And one of the things I really enjoyed about this conversation is you were talking about worker pay and how workers are affected and how the working class can, what they can do and how they're being affected by these policies. This isn't so much about the Democrat versus Republican stuff. This is really nuts and bolts about what's happening in America. And, what we're doing here in the Inland Empire is we're building worker power, and we have relationships like we do with Congressman Takano, as well as others in the area. And we're trying to really engage people to keep leaning into building worker power. And how can you build worker power? You talk to your neighbors, you talk to your friends, you see our billboards, you see our buses, our radio show, our podcast, our worker power radio network. We're doing everything we can to keep that message out, because we know that when workers have unions, they're in a much stronger position. They're going to be able to contribute more to their local community. This is the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan and the Teamsters 1932 Broadcast Network, airing live from San Bernardino. Don't forget, longtime organizer, first-time radio host. Signing off. Take it away, Mark.